Welcome into this edition of Inside Broncbuster Athletics. I'm Mike Pilosof. Pleased to be joined this week, and we try to make these things timely. And since the World Series just ended, we bring in Major League Baseball umpire and Holcomb native Todd Tichenor.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's go through a little history, and we're not gonna bore you on this show. I try not to do that, but you were born in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
You came here into Finney County in 1980. Your dad was a coach?
Coach at Holcomb, yeah.
And he ended up passing away
81.
81.
Yeah, when I was 7, yeah.
So what was it like just growing up, 1980, Southwest Kansas?
Flat, windy, just about like what it is now.
So nothing's changed. Amazing, right?
No, yeah. No, it's, I grew up on 3 blocks west of Abe Hubert, west side of town. Walk to the quick shop every day, try to put some quarters in the machine, play some Pac-Man. Rent some Nintendo games from Team Electronics on Kansas Avenue, and living life.
When people ask somebody, especially like you or anybody, why the hell did you get into officiating? And I've seen some of these vintage pictures of you in the Jayhawk Conference, but why officiating?
It's addicting. I don't know. Ever since I was a little kid, instead of watching the game, I would watch the referees, I'd watch the officials, I'd watch the umpires. They intrigued me. Now I guess maybe I would say they're always 1 or 2 steps ahead of the play.
Yeah, that was part of our conversation. There's another foul that just gets Todd Tichenor.
And now I know why. You have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of the play. And it just became addicting to watch and see. And then once, growing up in a single-parent family, which is hard. I didn't know it at the time that it was hard. It was hard. And being able to umpire some Little League stuff at the age of 12, doing little minors and peewees and making $13-14 a game, an hour, and doing 4 games a night and doing that 4 nights a week and seeing those paychecks, it helped. I didn't have to ask my mom for money. I had my own $30 a week. It became a passion from there.
I'm glad you mentioned the pay, because my son, who is now doing umpiring and he's doing officiating, goes, "Dad, this is all you get?" I'm like, you got to get to the Tichenor level before you start reaping the benefits,
it's
right?
Exactly with my oldest son. Yeah, he's like, "No, I just want the big games, Dad." I'm like, "No, you got to start at the bottom."
Absolutely. And speaking, and not that this is the bottom, but you officiated in the Jayhawk Conference.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of good officials that have come through this, and some of the coaches might argue about that.
Oh yeah.
But what do you remember most about officiating in this conference?
Definitely wasn't the bottom. There's some athletes here.
Yeah.
There's some athletes that come through these schools. In fact, that's, you see this shirt I'm wearing. It's one of the shirts I pack on the road just because I want to conversate about where I'm from and what's that? That's the Broncbusters, But to get into refereeing in this league, you go way back. That's how it actually started. Just coming to the games to see, Chandler Nairn, Darren Hancock dunk. Growing into the passion of speaking of officiating is beyond that. I would knock on the door and meet the guys and ask to sit in on pregame, and they'd be like, "Who the heck is this little kid coming in? Wanting to listen to our pregame?" And guys like Bill Hill and Paul Sheelight and Kurt McAfee and Perry Sharp, who's now passed away. Awesome people, awesome family. They bring you in and you never get to leave. It's family. It was awesome to work in this league.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up now that Bob Larson's the interim athletic director, and he was telling me a story about how he was teaching the officiating class when you were a student here, and he to this day says, "Todd knew way more than I ever did."
I taught the class. We make fun in light of that now that I basically helped teach the class. Yeah, I had the curriculum, and someday I want to start that class back up, and I want to teach it here.
So now when you get inducted into Cooperstown, Bob is going to be the guy that's responsible for all of that,
yes,
right?
Yes. Wow. Coach Larson, I tell you, he's been around a long time. I never had to play for him, but what he projects to bring into his people and his circle, he bring me in and wanted to make sure that I was okay as a kid, and it was neat to be around him.
Speaking of neat, and I thought this was pretty funny. I saw a video of your son, Caden Tichenor, on Twitter. This was back from like February, and I'm assuming you've seen the video. And to me, it's classic. He's I don't know if he's imitating you. I know you've ejected guys. We'll get to that in a second. But there's this video of him in a full MLB umpire. I'm assuming that's yours,
yeah.
And he's tossing somebody out. What do you think of your son? And is that in the family bloodlines for him to join the ranks? Is that anywhere in his thought process?
I think it is, yeah. Now, at least. then at that time, I didn't know what he was doing down there when he did that. He just came up and asked me for some of my stuff, and I'm glad it didn't go viral. That's all
He still got 30,000 views.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah. So for him to, I've never pushed it on him. It's been a tough road. A lot of people don't see what I had to do to get to last week, and so he's been in that road with me the whole way. And so I've never really pushed it on him. Get your education, we'll figure it out, you go from there. And just within this last year, he's mentioned a couple times, what if I went to umpire school, Dad? What if I did? Would I, like, details? Would I still be able to live at home? Would I be able to keep my stuff at home? Because he knows he ain't going to be able to afford anything else. And so we've had that discussion. We'll see what happens. I haven't pushed it, and maybe it'll just work out the right way, and maybe get a shot.
You've done multiple sports, but why baseball ultimately?
Wow, that was my number one sport. I loved it. When I was a little kid, and you're in the backyard and you're doing the wiffle ball, and you're in the World Series, and it's 3-2 count and bases loaded, and you're hitting the ball over the fence. I was the guy behind calling that 3-2 slider. It was just addicting. Basketball was was probably my next choice. It's awesome to referee basketball, the intricacies of the people interacting, the way you put out fires, and don't add fuel to the fire.
Just to get where you're at, I want you to take people through. I know that question's asked you so many times, but I don't think people understand. To get to the bigs as a player is hard enough. To get there as an umpire is damn near impossible.
Yeah. Wow. So, obviously starts back from the Little League. Let's fast forward a little bit through there where you start saying, well, how do I become a professional umpire? And you say professional umpire because you're not a major league umpire yet. So, when I say professional umpire, I wanted to become a professional umpire.
Lions comes home, and it's quickly 0-2. Then we'll get a piece, I think, of Sanchez and home plate umpire Todd Tichenor.
So I went to umpire school. That's the first step. 6 weeks. At the time, it was about $3,500. I didn't have $3,500. I had to scrounge, get it, save. I worked at the Telegram for a year. I got married that year, and I saved enough, and I went to umpire school. There was 300 students at both schools. 30 of us got asked to go to the main course from that, which was in Cocoa Beach. And out of the 30, you just umpire. You're no more school. You have a number on your back, and you're going to umpire. In Cocoa Beach, they have these huge baseball tournaments, and that's how they fill their tournaments with umpires. And so you work 3 or 4 games a day. And it started actually right then and there. There were guys, you could get off your game. So there were guys that didn't want their 7 a.m. games. And here I am at home. I'm in Cocoa. My wife's at home. I'm not making any money. They were paying us $30 a game besides getting evaluated. So I was picking up all the 7 a.m. games as possible. And one of the evaluators came to the 7 a.m. game to see somebody else. And it was me. So he calls me over and he's like, what are you doing? Just picking up the 7 a.m. game. He didn't want to do it. Okay. And didn't say anything else. Just things like that were the small steps that I think that really helped me. So I'm at the main course for 3 weeks.
Oh, that thing right into the chest of Todd Tichenor, and Pedro Severino heard that behind him and was making sure the umpire wasn't going to go down.
Then a lot of people don't even know, I didn't get asked a professional contract right out of the chute. So I accepted a job at the Rec being Jared Rudy. And that was on Friday. And on Sunday night, I got asked to get my butt to Montana to the Pioneer League. And so there was just enough people that had resigned. And, it happens a lot where guys get released and guys just quit. It's not worth it at times. I've quit 1,000 times. And then you get promoted. And that's where goals start setting in. I got promoted from the Pioneer League to the South Atlantic League. And that's on the East Coast now. So, and then from the South Atlantic League, you start getting more goals of, well, now I want to work the All-Star game in the minor leagues, and I want to do some things in the minor leagues. And so I got to work the All-Star game in the Carolina League. That was the following year. Each year I got promoted. Got to do the Futures game and the slow pitch softball game, where all the Jimmy celebrities, Jimmy Kimmel and all them were there. In fact, that's a funny story. Ian, I called him Ian Ziering from 90210, comes out to catch, and I think I'm the cool guy. What's up, Ian? He goes, hey, my name's Ian. Hey. All right.
But it's spelled this way.
So then from there, I got promoted to AAA, and then from the AAA, you start you start wanting some things. I got to do 2 All-Star games. Once you're in AAA, you don't want any more All-Star games. You want to get in the big leagues. And so I was, in the AAA for 6 or 7 years, 6 years. But for half of those, I was going up and down in the big leagues. So that's a good thing.
Again, to understand, it's an arduous journey. I mean, to go from where you began to get to never mind the major leagues, just to get to the minors, because people don't even get that opportunity. So I want you to go back in time and take us through that phone call when you became a full-time Major League umpire.
2012, just after Christmas Day, Peter Woodfork. It's a funny story because Peter's still our boss. He's the one that called me for the World Series, so it was pretty neat. 2007 to 2012, I'm going up and down. I have 500 games in the big leagues in the minor as a minor league umpire. A lot of people ask what do you go up and down for? Well, there's guys that get hurt. We get vacation time. Now, what? You only work for 7 months and you get vacation? I'm on the road. I'm in a hotel for 7 months, so I need that week off just to mentally see my family and recoup. So that 4 weeks off is definitely needed. It's not a vacation. And so AAA guys fill in for those guys. And that's how they get there. That's how they get seen. That's how they get observed, evaluated. So from 7 to 12, 500 games evaluation. That's basically, they can get rid of me at any moment. They don't need me, then they can stop calling. And so it's a job interview. Anybody can call fair, foul, safe, out at that juncture. It's about how you handle people, putting out fires. So then 2012 comes after 500 games, and it was unbelievable phone call. Finally to be able to say I can take care of my family. And my wife's teaching salary just isn't going to be our main salary for the year. It was an awesome phone call to get. I'll never forget. He said, just make sure you pass your physical, because they have to give you physicals, every year we get them. And so I was hired as long as I passed my physical,
I want you to go back to May 28th, 2009. It's a game, Terry Francona is the manager of the Boston Red Sox. So take us, what you remember about that specific game. And a lot of times umpires are remembered, not for necessarily the calls, but for some of the guys they give the heave-ho.
Yeah, I have the plate that day.
Hope to right. Kubel there for the catch. Here comes the runner. Here comes the throw. Save! And Redmond is furious. He's tossed. It looked like he put the tag on. Well, but Beckett, we could hear it now. Baratek has been tossed, and Francona will soon follow, I would suspect.
I had 4 ejections, is what it was. It wasn't full-time. That's another thing. I'm still going up and down at this time. And, Tito... let's see. So who went first? Baratek.
Yeah, Jason Baratek
was the catcher.
First.
Awesome guy. Balls and strikes happens. No big deal. We didn't have the sophisticated system that we have now to know, if I got that pitch right or not. It was that close if it wasn't. It's no big deal. It was balls and strikes. And so he went. And then Terry Francona came out and obviously was protecting, Baratek in his pitcher. And Tito's awesome. He had to go too, argue balls and strikes. And then the next half inning was a play at the plate. Mike Redmond was the catcher. And Mike Redmond has now been a manager and a hitting coach, and he's a good friend of mine. It was his first ejection in the big leagues, ever. He was, you talk about sportsmanship, he was the top guy at sportsmanship. So that's what I get made fun of with him. And play at the plate just happened through his equipment, things like that. It was an ejectable offense, and so I had to eject him. And then just right after that, Ron Gardenhire had to come out and protect him, and he decided to go.
All right, so I'm going to give you a number and give you a date. 1948, that was the last time a Kansas native was an umpire in a World Series game. Now, you've done Championship Series, you've done the All-Star Game, but now, this past year, with everything that happened, to get the call from your boss that says, Todd, we need you to do the World Series. I'm dropping everything I'm doing, I'm there. What was that moment like for you, knowing everything you've been through?
Now, I told myself you aren't going to get me to cry like you did Ashley and Larson.
It's a special talent.
Yeah. It was surreal. Everything came in at once. It was weight off my shoulders. It's been a goal of mine to have for my family, to see what they've been through. Nobody sees that part. All the things I've missed. It was rewarding to get that phone call. You know, obviously once the phone call is over with, now I got to work the World Series.
Dave Roberts. And strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Now I got to be right. You know, and now I got to work. And so, you know, in fact, I think you had called and I actually said, no, I don't want to talk. I think you realized how I'm focusing, and thank you for that. But I said, we'll do something afterwards. And now that I look back on it, it was rewarding. It was awesome. I'm glad it went smooth, because in a moment, my name could have been out there for something not good, you know, and so I'm glad it went good.
I'm going to leave you on this one, because you've talked about your wife being a teacher in Holcomb. You have 3 kids. Yeah. So balancing family life with, and when you talked about vacation earlier in the interview, and I want people to understand, when you said that you're in hotels for 7 months out of the year, that is crazy. Yeah. And it's every day, because you're at a different location. You and your crew are at a different location. How in the world do you balance a life with kids and a family when you're a major league umpire? I mean, I know it sounds like a simple question,
it's
but
not. Yeah, it hasn't been simple. Obviously, she's the one that made it work. Anybody that knows her knows that she's the strongest one out there. You know, she's got her own story. You know, she was here talking. You know, her and her mom have been through a lot in their lives. You know, she's lost her dad. She's lost her brother. She's got half her family, and so for her to be the strongest woman that she is, kind of tell me what to do. You know, she points me in the right direction, and you know, she covers the family and makes sure that we're safe. And it's a good thing. She's made a lot of the wheels work. You know, Caden's been, my oldest, has been with us since I've been in the minor leagues, and you know, he's made it work too. For him being as good a kid as he is, you know, we have the talk. Everybody has their talks with their kids of, you know, well, I see the way you treat everybody, but then you come home and you don't treat us that way. Well, we've had to have those talks with everybody, you know. But to see how he holds himself and how he handles life, it's pretty good. You know, they've kind of handled it themselves, really. You know, for me being gone for 7 months, you know, and in a hotel, that's what nobody sees. You know, well, you get 4 weeks of vacation. I'm in a hotel for 7 months. You know, the players don't say anything to us because, you know, oh, we're on a 20-day road trip. Well, what are we on?
It's a crazy schedule. Well, first and foremost, couldn't have happened, the success that you've had, to a better person. So
Thank you.
You and your family, congratulations. A hell of an accomplishment to get to the World Series.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.